And good morning, Tennessee Valley. Good Monday morning. And we hope that you have had a good weekend and hope that you're going to have a great week ahead. My name is Alan Mincy, and I'm your host for this morning's show. And my co-host is...
Debbie Melton.
Oh.
I can talk.
Yes, you're great. I've never had the co-host actually say who they are. Usually they wait for me to say who they are, so you jumped right in there.
I did.
You're a natural.
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that, but for those of you that don't know, Debbie Melton, and I think everybody in town probably does know Debbie, from Don Ledford Automotive Center fame.
Yes.
And I asked Debbie to be my co-host this week, and actually I'd asked her before to help me, and it was either me or, where was it that you went? To Detroit?
I went to Detroit, sure did, for my first Women's Council General Motors meeting.
Aha. And she turned me down to go to Detroit. It's hard to believe, but I was able to ask her to come in for to help me co-host this morning, and she jumped right at it, and I appreciate you coming in. And we've got a great show coming up, but before we ever get to our guests, and I'll tell you who those are in a few minutes, I wanted to talk to Debbie a little bit about what's been going on. For those of you that drive up North Lee Highway, you know where Don Ledford is. I want to keep calling it Don Ledford Pontiac.
Well,
Cadillac GMC.
Sometimes I want to keep calling it that too.
And because I think I've bought at least 4 vehicles from you guys.
Well, thank you. Do you need to buy another one?
I do. It's time for another one. Yes,
okay. We can fix you up. That would be wonderful.
I didn't quite get you on the show to sell me a car, because Charles Bolin would be very upset at that, because he's the one who sold me all 4 of those cars.
Yes, he would be, but that's okay.
Okay.
We can take care of Charles.
But for those of you that have gone up North Lee Highway and looked over at Don Ledford Automotive Center, you see some additions, some construction going on. What's happening over there?
It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We are building our new Buick GMC and Cadillac showroom. Should be complete in June if the timeline goes well, which I think it will. We have a wonderful contractor, Tricon, Case and Con. He's making my job so very easy. He is just doing an incredible job. We're really a team. We ordered our ACM panels yesterday, which was the facial. It's the facial at the dealership, and we had to order a bunch of them. Measurements had to be exactly right, so that was fun doing. And we have a great team working on our building. We have a great team in place. It was funny. Yesterday afternoon, something funny happened. We were on a conference phone call talking about a wall, and I looked at my clock and I thought, oh no, I've got carpool. I have to go after my children. And I said, conference phone call, Case, and grab the phone. We're going to continue this conversation in the car. So that's exactly what we did. He rode during our carpool yesterday. Okay. And we were, determining what we were going to do with walls and that kind of stuff. But it's going really well. I was
going to say, you're determined to get this up and running.
Yes.
When did you say, June?
June. And we should be having Chevrolets arriving on the lot in June.
Well, that was my next question.
Yes.
You are going to be our dealership for Chevrolet here in Cleveland.
Yes, we're very blessed.
And that was something that I guess the Chevy agreement was last year. Is that when that happened?
Yes, we found out about this time last year.
Well, one thing, I can't have you on the show without asking you about, there was a time that we were worried.
Oh, absolutely.
That we might not have Don Ledford Automotive Center.
It was 34 months ago this month that we were one of the dealers who got the dreaded wind down letter, which is just a terminology that said that we would no longer be representation of General Motors. And with the community support, we have such a wonderful community. People in place like yourself has very much passion for their jobs, and it's a wonderful network of people. And the community came together, and we earned the General Motors franchise back in 2010, and then a year later we earned the Chevrolet store. So we've been through lots of valleys and mountains too, though. I mean, we've trusted, and things have come together.
I don't think you would have gotten the Chevrolet if you hadn't worked so hard on the
oh, absolutely.
The others. So
no,
I think they saw a lot of faith in the community and you guys.
Absolutely.
And Now,
Absolutely.
one other question that I've got to ask you before we start getting to our guests is, I would drive by and there would be a car that looked like it was stuck in a dumpster. And I wondered how in the world did you, and I know it was part of your promotion, where you would bring in anything for a trade-in.
Yes.
How in the world did you get that in there?
Well, it was
did the mayor drive in there or something?
The mayor helped, I think. It was really kind of funny because I left our team in charge. I said, you know what, we need to get that car in the dumpster. And so I actually left for, I believe it was a United Way meeting.
Okay.
And when I came back, hey, the car was in the dumpster. I didn't ask any questions. I just thought, good job, guys. That's what we wanted. And we got a lot of promotion out of that. It was an attention getter, you might say.
I know I paid attention to it when I drove by.
We're probably going to have that promotion every February.
Okay.
So it's going to be our Cash for Trash promotion.
Great. Quickly, Debbie, a little bit about your family. Ken,
yes,
your husband.
Ken's my husband, and he's at the Masters this week. So he's
whoa.
Yes, he works the Masters, and he's really excited. And yes, I'll be carpooling by myself, but that's okay. You
got to give him a little.
I know.
I
know. This is his trip of the year.
Sure.
He loves it, so we'll let him enjoy it.
2 children? 2?
3 children.
3 children.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Names?
Ella Marie, Jessica, and Will.
Okay. And of course, anybody that knows you, we know your brother, but know your dad too. Love your dad. He actually took me when I dropped the car off. He took me back down to the office and told me all about Keith Street when it wasn't there, when he used to chase, hunt rabbits and all.
He has lots of wonderful stories that we need to tape.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Need to get him on the show is what we need to do. But, well, I appreciate you coming on and being our co-host. And we're going to have some interesting guests, and I want you to get as involved as you can with them if you have questions to ask.
Okay.
We have Michael Ringering, and Michael has become a friend of mine through a couple of avenues. We've met through the Cleveland Media Association, and we were actually speaking to a Lee University public relations class not too long ago, and that's where I asked Michael if he would come on the show. Michael's got a diverse background, and I'll let him talk about that when he comes on. Then we've got a guy who I worked with for, I don't know, it seems like 10, 15, 20 years or something like that. His name is Cordell, but most people know him as Corky, and it's Corky Whitlock. And I'm just so pleased that Corky is coming on the show. And then we have the person that we mentioned earlier, Mayor Tom Rowland. And I've asked Tom to come on because when I was growing up, the folks that I listened to on the radio, I would alternate between Corky and Tom's Clock Show on WCLE. Corky on WBAC and Tom on WCLE. Every once in a while I'd listen to David Carroll on KZ106.
I did the same thing.
Well, David doesn't like for people to know that he's been around that long, but I asked them to come on. We're going to talk a little bit about some old radio. No politics. We're not talking politics. No politics.
Good. That's good. That's the ground rules, huh?
That's the ground rules. No politics from you either. But we will have a great show, and we'll be back after these messages with Michael Ringering. So stay tuned.
I'm Wes Robbins with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. When it comes to employee benefits, we've got you covered. Call me today for the best service and best solutions to your group health and employee benefits needs. At Landmark Insurance Brokerage, we've got you covered.
Discover great local programming right here on WTMB East Tennessee Television. Tune in weekday mornings at 6:30 a.m. for Tennessee Valley This Morning to find out what's going on in your local area. Watch East Tennessee Shopper with Joe and Kim Palo live every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Be caught up in all the latest sports action. Watch In the Spotlight with Brittany Jackson Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. with replays at midnight. All this and more on WTMB East Tennessee Television.
Hyperbaric Services of East Tennessee is now open in Cleveland. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is an incredible treatment, clinically tested for a variety of physical and neurologic conditions, including autism, migraine headaches, even sprains and injuries. It is a simple, safe, and painless process that raises a patient's oxygen level, providing an array of health benefits. So whether you're dealing with a weekend sports injury, chronic condition, or looking for anti-aging, you owe it to yourself to explore what Hyperbaric Services can do for you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Ford, board certified in anti-aging medicine and pain management. Have you had recent decrease in energy, lack of sex drive, feel moody, grumpy, or sad? If so, you may have low testosterone and be a candidate for bioidentical hormone replacement. Listen to what 2 of my patients have to say.
Before I came to the Ford Clinic, I had to have a nap every day.
When I got off work, I'd lay around, really didn't want to do much and felt real lazy.
I've noticed since I had the testosterone implant that I could go a good 8 hours doing the things I enjoy doing.
I had it done, it took about 25-30 minutes, 5 months, and I'm doing good. My stomach, my muscles, they've completely changed. My fat level has dropped. I get to go out and run, exercise with my son. My muscles are just getting stronger.
If you'd like to change your life, please call me at Ford Center for Pain Management and Anti-Aging Medicine at 423-400-9115.
It's a very simple process, and it's well worth it.
And welcome back to Tennessee Valley this morning. We've been talking a little sports, but even Joe Palo came in and tried to change us all to Miami Marlins fans. But it's easy to talk sports when you've got 3 people who know sports, and I found out that Debbie knows a little bit about sports as well.
Very little, but a little bit.
Very little is more than some folks in the room, so that's good. One thing I did not mention, and let me do this real fast, don't forget Boogie at the Barn, coming up on Saturday, May 19th. It's out at Pappy's Place, which I think is on John Simmons, the old John Simmons farm. And that will be to raise money for the Veterans Home, I believe. And that's coming up on Saturday, May 19th. They've got live music that evening, including the Collins brothers, JoJo and all the guys, the Dexter Thomas Band,
yes.
And a band called Hard Boiled, which sounds like something interesting. I think that's a new band, and the event headliner is Confederate Railroad from down in Chattanooga. So keep that in mind. The 19th of May at Pappy's Place, Boogie at the Barn, and an Armed Forces Day celebration fundraising for the Southeast Tennessee Veterans Home. And you'll be hearing a lot more about that on WTNB on the Tennessee Valley This Morning show throughout the week and leading up to it. But right now I want to welcome Michael Ringering. And Michael, I know right now you're working with University
Surgical Associates.
University Surgical Associates in public relations.
Director of Marketing and Public Relations for the practice. Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's one of the things he's doing right now. The other thing that he's doing, and I brought my Braves hat just to make Joe Palo mad, but is he's also a writer. And this is his book. It's called 6 Bits, a novel by Michael Ringering. And I believe it was published, in November?
December.
Oh,
wow.
And just recently had a book signing over at Lee University.
Yesterday.
And from what I understand, is just one of many books that are within you. You got another one that you're working on right now.
I've several in my head, and this one is special because I actually developed that for a class in college, my sophomore year, in a writing class, and because of other career things that I got into, I didn't have a chance to really put pen to paper at that point in time, so I let it kind of ferment in my head for about 20 years, and in 2004 was able to start it, and finished it in April, and published it in December, and glad it's out of me, because boy, it was disrupting. And being in there that long and not being able to get out, and finally we let it out.
Somebody's asked me if I'll ever write a book, and I said, boy, I've got a lot of stories to tell, but I don't know that I could put it together like you have.
I can't wait to read it. Will you autograph my book?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Sure. It'll devalue the book, but that's all right.
No, it won't.
Well, you never know. But and is there a movie here?
Oh, my goal for this was very simple. I just wanted to tell this story. I wanted to do something that my wife and my family would be proud of, and that was as far as I was ever going to let it go, and whatever happens beyond this happens. But my ideals and plans for this were pretty simple. And I just think it's a good story, and it's getting really good reviews so far. Reviews that have overwhelmed me, to be honest. And you know, whatever happens after this, you know, happens. But I'm just proud that my family really likes it.
Well, I just received my copy last week and have not had a chance to read through it, but I have read some of the reviews and some of the information about it, and it sounds intriguing. And for those of you that have the ability to go to YouTube, you can go to YouTube and hear Michael talk a little bit about the creation of the book too.
That's correct.
I think there's a set of 3 interviews.
Right,
there.
the Lee University students put that together.
So
Very
that's
nice.
great. But I also understand that the second book that you're working on may be something like a war novel.
The second book is based on World War II, but it's based through the eyes of a German soldier. You know, I really like writing about relationships forming in chaotic times. And that's all basically I'm going to say about it, but I've got a lot of research to do. I got a lot of research to do on German soldiers and World War II at the end of the war, because this is going to take place at the end of the war. But I'm very excited about it.
I'll tell you, that sounds like it could be a movie to me.
Well, you know, again, I just want to write books,
right.
and what happens happens. But I think it's a good concept. I'm really just as excited about that one, maybe even a little bit more than this one. I think because I love research. I like doing that as part of the process of writing fiction. And there'll be a lot of research in this, so I'm looking forward to this.
And quickly, where can they find the book?
The book is available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble for the Nook and Kindle paperback. It's at the Barnes & Noble at Hamilton Place Mall. Okay. But most people are getting it on Amazon, and most people are downloading it electronically because everybody loves those Nooks and Kindles now.
Well, so maybe Debbie's into that. I like the, you know, I like the book in my hand. I've got to have a book in my hand if I'm going to read it. It's like a newspaper. I've got to have a newspaper in my hand.
I do it both ways, but I'm a little bit for the hardback too now.
Yeah,
I'm in front of a computer. Well, we're in technology all day.
That's right. We want something to get away
absolutely,
from it.
Absolutely.
But Michael, the one thing, you know, we've talked. You're marketing for University Surgical Associates. You're a book writer. You're an author. But my understanding is when you got out of college and you went to Murray State,
went to Murray
State.
Murray, Kentucky, Racers, go Racers.
Go Racers. Well, they
Racer
went
Nation.
as far as they could, you know.
30-2. That
not
was
not bad.
Very good year. Very excited.
You know, great team. And we used to play. I went to Middle Tennessee State, so we used to be in the same conference. I think the Ohio Valley one time.
Right.
And I think you beat us then too. So no
it's
big
a good
deal.
basketball school. Always been a good basketball school.
But when you got out of college, you started working as a public relations person in a job that, boy, I wish I had, and that was in Major League Baseball.
That's correct.
Now,
first jobs out of college.
And what was your first job again?
Well, I had my junior year at Murray, I completed an internship with the St. Louis Cardinals in '87, and that was in the marketing department. Got very lucky that year because that's the year they went to the World Series against the Twins. So in August when I joined them, I took off a semester from school, spent the entire semester with them, and of course landed in postseason play. And once I got there and saw that, that was it. I knew that's where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. So went back, finished out my degree. Was fortunate again that the Cardinals had recommended me to somebody with the Braves, and I interviewed with the Braves before I graduated. And before I graduated, I had a job. And matter of fact, I graduated on a Saturday from Murray, drove home to St. Louis Sunday, packed my stuff, and had to be in Atlanta on Monday.
Wow.
And it was a very quick turnaround. I'd never been that far away from home before, never been in a city that big in my life, didn't know a soul. The Braves set me up with a fellow that was working for CNN who needed someone else to help share expenses with his apartment, and that's who I roomed with, and it was just so quick and so fast. But that's where it began. And
excuse me, what year was this?
That was in 1999.
Okay.
And then I stayed on with the Braves until '95 when I had an opportunity to take the media relations job with Cincinnati Reds, and then I went up to Cincinnati and spent 10 years with the Reds.
So you were involved until what, about 2000?
2004.
2004. I'm thinking that you worked with probably two of the most unusual baseball owners in the world. Ted Turner?
Yes, sir.
Marge Schott?
Absolutely.
Oh boy, that sounds interesting.
A lot of stories, and certainly could write another book, but I'll let those go. Okay. Those are just stories that I'll keep. But very interesting, and of course, Mrs. Schott was eccentric in a lot of different things, and I tell students when I speak with students today that she taught me a lot about crisis management. So I've had to deal with a lot of stuff, and but it was the fact was I was not going to get that kind of experience in Atlanta because I don't know if you know Jim Schultz or remember Jim Schultz, a longtime PR director with the Braves.
Okay, sure.
But I was with Jim in his office. But Jim was fairly, he was ingrained. He was going to be there forever, and I was never going to get to that position there. So in baseball, you have to go where the jobs are, and Cincinnati was a great opportunity. It was closer to home, got me closer to my family. All my family's in St. Louis, so it was a good move, and a lot of great people, a lot of great memories. Met some just fantastic guys that I still talk to and still have relationships with, and that was a great
Are you talking
time.
Ball players, maybe?
Oh, ball players and front office people, and you just establish that bond. I mean, in my position at that point in time, I was traveling. Of course, I traveled 3 years, and so you spend a lot of time with those guys on the plane and the hotels and ballpark, buses. So you establish relationships, and some of them are lifelong. Sure. Others aren't, but some are, and but you just meet a lot of great people, and I was so fortunate to have that experience of being in Major League Baseball and doing a lot of things that were done for the first time. I was one of the very first when I first started with Atlanta, to bring all of our publication design in-house. I developed the Reds' first website. Okay. So when websites coming around, and I developed their first one. I also developed their first community relations department and played a big part in establishing their first nonprofit foundation, which is now a multi-million-dollar foundation serving inner city kids in Cincinnati. So I'm very proud of that and have been very proud of being a part of that.
Still follow baseball?
Oh, absolutely. Spring training comes, and my wife knows when it's about ready to start.
Sounds like the Masters.
No, I don't. Not anymore. Just too busy. Too many things going on, and it's difficult. But I do get that. I do get that itch around spring training, and loved going to spring training. Loved being there. Yeah, so I still like to know what the Reds are doing, what the Cardinals are doing, what the Braves are doing. I keep track that way.
Who was your favorite player through all this?
I would have to say, without question, Terry Pendleton.
Okay.
I really liked Terry a lot, and he was just a good guy, and one of my favorite guys to be around. But there were so many guys.
Well, you dealt with him as a Cardinal and
a Red, sure, yeah, and the Braves, right, and there were a lot of guys that I had, just a lot of respect for, and were just really good people. Of course, in baseball, it's a microcosm of society. You're going to meet the best and the worst, but for the most part, guys were just really great, and I really enjoyed it.
Braves fans don't like the Cardinals.
Well, they don't like the Reds either. So.
Well, that's true.
But yeah,
you always beat us. As I was growing up, we were in the same division as the Reds.
Right.
And then we get into the playoffs, and the Cardinals kill us.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, I of course, my hometown is 40 miles northeast of St. Louis, so I grew up. The first ball player I ever saw when I was young was Joe Torre, and he was, I loved Joe Torre, loved watching him play. But then the Big Red Machine came around, and I became a Pete Rose fan and a Johnny Bench fan. Sure. And to go to Cincinnati and be able to actually meet those guys and talk to those guys, Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench, Pete Rose. Wow, it's just amazing to just shake their hand and talk to him. And Johnny Bench, I always loved talking to him. He had such great insight in the game, and I'm not pleased on both sides of the fence of the Pete Rose issue, but I'll say to anybody he belongs in the Hall of Fame and should be in the Hall of Fame. But you know, he made his own bed, so to speak. But meeting those guys and being around those guys is just amazing, incredible.
Yeah. Now, Debbie, when you grew up, were you anything? Did you follow baseball at all?
No, but when I became married, I became a Dodger fan. We
Oh,
were
really?
big.
Ooh.
We've been to Vero Beach.
Oh, yeah,
We went
sure.
every year for probably about
Right.
10. Well, we were there the last year they were there.
Yeah.
So
I went to Vero a couple times.
it's beautiful.
It is.
I
Very
mean,
nice
palm
facility.
trees
Sure.
line the field. I mean, it's
Right.
it's really
Right.
it's really. A
And
fun
I'm
time.
glad to see the Dodgers have taken an upswing since the sale last week. That's going to be that's going to be good for them. I think they will get back to where they were and where they should have been.
Well, they are in Los Angeles now, right?
That's right.
Okay, because we have our mayor over there who thought they were still in Brooklyn.
I even knew better than that.
Uh-oh. I hear a challenge here, but that's you know, that's been great. Who's going to win this year? Go ahead and give me a prediction.
You know, I like you know, I think on paper, obviously, in the American League, Angels have really got it going on. I think, you know, getting Albert Pujols, and I think I think that has really overshadowed what they've done with their starting pitching. So I like the A's, or I'm sorry, I like the Angels in the American League, and I like the San Francisco Giants in the National League. Giants got their catcher back, Posey. I think he's going to be great. I think they got a good pitching staff. I like the Phillies. You know, they got those two starters that can shut down anybody anytime. I like what the Reds have done. I like the Reds being there. I'm really going to be interested to see how the Cardinals react.
Yeah.
You know, after winning the World Series in such dramatic fashion and then losing Pujols and losing a couple other keys, La Russa being one of them,
Sure.
Dave Duncan the other, their pitching coach,
Right.
who went on leave. But, you know, I really like what Detroit has done, bringing in Prince Fielder.
Right.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. No Braves.
You know what? I'll say this about the Braves. I don't think that you can ever count the Braves out when you've got who I think is probably one of the best baseball admin people of all time, and John Sherholtz in that mix somewhere. You know, if he's not one of the best or one of the top five, he's certainly in that team picture, and he's probably in the front row.
Okay.
Because he knows what he's doing.
They record this, so we're going to come back to it at the end of the season and see how well you did.
Angels and Giants. That's
Angels
what I'm going
and Giants.
with.
Okay, I'm going with the Rangers and the Reds.
I'd love to see
There you
that.
go.
That'd be exciting.
Okay, we're gonna Michael, thanks for coming
Thank you.
on. Good luck with the book.
Thank you, Alan.
Good luck
Nice
with.
to meet
Can't
you.
wait. Nice to meet you. I
Hope
can't
you get
read
a chance
it.
to read it.
And,
Oh, I'm going to.
Oh, I'll let her read mine if she doesn't give it. We're going to take a break now. We've got Corky Whitlock and Tom Rowland sitting over in the.
Help us.
Yeah, help us, please. But we'll have them on here in just a second. We'll be right back. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Discover great local programming right here on WTMB East Tennessee Television. Tune in weekday mornings at 6:30 a.m. for Tennessee Valley This Morning to find out what's going on in your local area. Watch East Tennessee Shopper with Joe and Kim Palo live every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Be caught up in all the latest sports action. Watch In the Spotlight with Brittany Jackson. Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. with replays at midnight. All this and more on WTMB East Tennessee Television.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Ford, board certified in anti-aging medicine and pain management. Have you had recent decrease in energy, lack of sex drive, feel moody, grumpy, or sad? If so, you may have low testosterone and be a candidate for bioidentical hormone replacement. Listen to what two of my patients have to say.
Before I came to the Ford Clinic, I had to have a nap every day.
When I got off work, I'd lay around, really didn't want to do much and felt real lazy.
I've noticed since I had the testosterone implant that I can go a good 8 hours doing the things I enjoy doing.
I had it done, it took about 25-30 minutes, 5 months, and I'm doing good. My stomach, my muscles, they've completely changed. My fat level has dropped. get to go out and run, exercise with my son. My muscles are just getting stronger.
If you'd like to change your life, please call me at Ford Center for Pain Management and Anti-Aging Medicine at 423-400-9115.
It's a very simple process and it's well worth it.
Hello, I'm Dr. Gupta, and I'd like to introduce you to a valuable new healthcare solution here in Cleveland. Hyperbaric Services of East Tennessee is now open and accepting patients. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is an incredible treatment clinically tested for a variety of physical and neurologic conditions, including autism, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, migraine headaches, chronic fatigue syndrome, and even sports injuries and sprains. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is a simple, safe, and painless process that raises a patient's oxygen level in the body. This increased oxygen level in our tissues and organs boosts the body's natural healing abilities and allows our bodies to function at a higher level. We will be happy to work in cooperation with your regular physician. However, referral is not required for this treatment. So whether you're dealing with a weekend injury, a chronic medical condition, or looking for anti-aging solutions, you owe it to yourself to explore what hyperbaric oxygen treatment can do for you or your loved ones. I invite you to contact us today for some more information.
I'm Wes Robbins with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. When it comes to employee benefits, we've got you covered. Call me today for the best service and best solutions to your group health and employee benefits needs. At Landmark Insurance Brokerage, we've got you covered.
And welcome back to Tennessee Valley this morning on this Monday morning, and we've got Debbie Melton over on the other side of the studio making faces.
She needs to go wash cars.
Yes, she has a lot of work that she needs to do, but unfortunately we only have room for 3 people, and personally she should have taken my place to talk to these guys, but I wasn't going to give up the opportunity to talk to two of the legends in our community, and
Must be somebody else, Corky.
Well, I see Joe over there too.
Oh yeah,
but,
he's a legend.
But as I said, as we were talking about our guests on the program, these guys are what old. I hate to use the term old, but
watch it.
But what radio was back when radio was new.
Yeah.
Back when you were country when country wasn't cool. You were radio when radio wasn't cool, although Mr. Hartline would say it's still cool. So we don't want to get too far ahead.
You do not realize this is a history-making project right here.
That's what I understand.
Hey, Tom and I have never done this.
No, you've always been on this other station.
And what would Hartline have to do with it? What could he contribute? Nothing.
He's worked with both of you.
Yes, he has.
I believe.
And
I raised him, you know.
Well, I wouldn't take credit for that. But just in case
a lot of fun, though.
You don't know these guys, we have Corky Whitlock from the WBAC days, I want to say, and Tom Rowland, who of course is our mayor, but from the WCLE AM days. We now have FM.
And we were both morning guys competing against each other.
But still friends.
Oh, yeah. No question.
We talk to each other about every morning.
Hello, Tom. Nice to meet you.
Corky, nice to see you, Cordell.
But I asked Corky to come on, and I said I can't have Corky on the show without having Tom on the show too, because I know Corky, you worked in. Now, was WBAC your first? It wasn't your first radio job.
No, it was not. Right.
But it was your first radio job in Cleveland.
Right.
And when did you start? How many years did you have in radio?
I have been going 51 years.
51 years.
I've been in radio 56 years.
Okay, which is about how old Tom is, so you got him beat there.
Good time.
But you started at WBAC back
61.
61.
Right.
Coming up from Florida.
That was 19.
1961.
18.
You remember Mr. Marconi, don't you? Yes.
Oh, yes, yes.
But and the thing with Corky is he's still working today. You probably heard him during basketball and football season,
right,
doing some broadcasts.
We're contracting with Gary Owenby, and we've had a good time. We really have. But I'm retired. I'm retired from the morning show.
Right, but for so long it was Corky.
And I do not miss getting up at 3:30 in the morning.
Amen.
You don't 3:30?
Yes.
Was that the time you had to get up?
Yes.
Now, Tom? What time did you get
About
up?
3:30.
Yeah.
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 And our busiest afternoon was Wednesday. You know, we did the food store commercials.
Right.
I know I called you at home one time, and Ed said, well, he's at the station doing his food store commercials, and we always did that on Wednesday afternoon, usually from a paper bag or something where it was written on.
And let me tell you something, people do not understand what we're talking about. That's old-time radio, but it's great radio.
Oh, yes.
But it's something that you're not accustomed to today. You know, it's different.
Well, there's a lot that's different today because it
Oh,
seems
yeah.
like everything is computerized now. And I don't have as much background in radio as you guys do, but I remember the reel-to-reels.
Oh, yes.
Cart machines.
Reel-to-reel before the cart machines.
Right. The turntables.
Right.
I thought when the cart machines emerged on the scene, we had it made,
That was
Tom.
the latest thing you could think about.
Guarantee you.
But in the old reel-to-reel, I know we'd have 2 tape recorders, 2 tape players, and then usually a backup, and we were rolling one off while you were playing the other one, then roll the new one on the bottom one, and you'd have a little dead air time when you did that.
Man, that's great memories, but at the same time, it's hard work, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
But then you had the records that you had to queue up.
Right.
So you had to, you guys were rap stars before there was rap because you were doing the
And if
the
you had to
records
go,
backwards.
if you had to go to the bathroom, we always played Marty Robbins' El Paso. It was about 9 minutes long, I believe, and I think everybody in radio had their favorite long play song.
Boy, that brings back great
Yeah,
memories.
New Kid in Town or MacArthur Park was mine because they were 7 minutes or so.
Well, used to when Corky and I were there, somebody had to be at the station all the time, and if your relief didn't show up, you stayed till somebody came, didn't you, Corky?
Oh, no
We
question.
always did that.
And that's the one time, of course, you begin to realize, somebody asked me one time many years ago, Tom, where'd you guys learn to ad-lib like you do?
You just started doing it.
You did it.
Yeah, you just did it.
You kept alive. You kept it.
Yeah.
You kept the program on, Nowadays, the computers, the technology field is great, but a lot of radio's gone.
It is. Well, you actually decided what to play.
Right.
The song to play.
Yeah, you programmed.
what to say. And
Yeah.
now you probably had the time clocks.
Oh,
where
yeah.
you had to play things at certain
well,
times.
Back in those days, I know Corky and I both dreaded the snowy days. We didn't know if we were going to get there or not on time.
Right.
Because the station wasn't on the air till you got there. And now they can be automated and run 24 hours a day, and that was just unheard of back in our day. And then the next thing you'd worry about when you flip the switch is the transmitter coming on properly. So usually they did.
And you had to take meter readings, whatever. 3 hours or every hour? Or?
Used to be every hour, at first every hour, then on the half hour, and then
Right.
they dropped it to just on the hour for a while. You had to be sure you did your station, your legal ID on the hour. And I tell Heartline all the time, I don't hear you identifying your station. He said, we know who we are.
That's not the way it goes.
No.
But those are good days, they really were. And of course, to a certain point, like Tom and I certainly know with our great experience, the one thing that we did really enjoy, you do not see too much today. I'm talking about the contact with your listener.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah,
got to know
yeah.
them personally. They knew you personally, and you missed that.
Or you'd talk to somebody every morning and you'd go to a store and they'd say, I'm so-and-so, I called you every morning or so, and then you put a face with a voice.
Exactly.
Especially birthdays and the lost dogs, and just to tell you what they're doing, where they're going on vacation or whatever.
Well, you guys were their contact with the world.
With the world.
In a way, because there wasn't as much, we didn't have the cable channels.
No.
You had the 3 channels on TV, and you really had nothing as local as you do now. So the local radio station was their key to what's going on in their community.
When FM came about, a lot of people referred to it as shortwave. What is that FM? I don't want to buy FM. I know our station, when we first put the FM on the air, we went to a local car dealer and offered the salespeople at that dealership a $5 stipend if they would sell what was called an FM tuner that you installed under your dash, and you could take your AM radio and tune it to an FM frequency. And it was a hard sell because people said, well, what do I need an FM radio in my car for? It's usually background music or wherever they may be stationary. But it finally evolved, and it wasn't shortwave anymore.
And there was a response that FM will never make it.
Oh, no, never make it.
You heard that a lot.
I know one time when WCLE was a daytime station, which means it was sunrise to sunset. In the summertime, you had the full 6 o'clock sign on, but in the wintertime, 7:45, and I think that's when you raised your power to daytime power. We had to do that. You had to have low power before sunrise and after sunset. And we were sort of doing sales and broadcasting. And I know one of my accounts was the old Miller's department store in the village. And I ran a little contest on FM only before the AM signed on that morning, and got a lot of response from mail. And I went in, Jack Allen was the manager of the store, and I said, Jack, look at this response. And I dumped the letters on his desk. He said, you didn't get that from FM, did you? I said, I just want you to buy one spot a morning on FM. I went from there to the Townhouse Bake Shop, and was getting the different ones to buy one spot a morning on just the FM only. And it started getting results. Took a while though. It wasn't instant at all.
The response has been terrific. And as Tom and I are chatting right now, of course you with Alan, and you were involved with my broadcasting many years ago.
Sure.
What, 10 to 15 years, something like that.
Seems like it.
You were the board operator for many years.
He was the Sunday afternoon voice.
And one of the most reliable, dedicated guys we had. I'm not saying that because you're here and I'm here, but
you don't get paid to be here. Okay.
You did a good job. We really
appreciate
that. But what Tom and I are talking about, I know to a certain point, Tom, people out there listening right now have no idea what we're talking about. Yet you've got listeners that respond to you because at one time they were children calling us, and we were at that time adults, the older person. But some of those people remember some of that stuff.
Ross Tarver, he's an adult now.
Oh yeah.
He said on his birthday he couldn't understand why his dad, Rabbit Tarver, would turn the radio up real loud in the house. He was getting ready to go to school. It was on his birthday, and he would call me to announce Ross's birthday on the air.
Right.
And that was just a tradition he looked forward to, and you have many people that grew up the same way that probably tell you when I was a kid you'd announce my birthday and I'd win a birthday cake or whatever.
Yes, and you appreciate that.
I tell you what, guys,
sometimes you tell those people that we appreciate what you're responding to us. And now as we're older, obviously, I hope they understand that we really were sincere when we told them that.
Oh yes.
That was something that if we respond to you that we appreciate your listenership or you appreciate your response or the birthdays you talked about, Tom, we meant well then. And now as you get older, you really appreciate the response because I'm afraid a lot of our radio guys nowadays are not getting what we enjoyed.
Well, Corky, you and I in the morning, I'd hear more people comment, I don't need a clock, because you were given the time. You were given the time, I was given the time. And I hear radio today in the mornings, you've got to have a clock because you don't know what time it is.
Right.
But and I think you agree, we used to think the time, the temperature,
yes,
and the weather was one of the most important things you could repeat over and over again throughout the broadcast morning.
And so many times people will tell you, I'm on this particular route, going to work, going to school, whatever, and I can tell what time it is by where I'm at, wherever I'm going. I know you've heard that many, many times.
And news.
Oh, yeah.
Radio news. We're going to talk about that in a minute, Alan.
I'll tell you, I was afraid I'd get these guys on and they wouldn't be able to talk about anything. I should have had no fear of that. But as radio guys, as old folks in the communications field, we know what's coming up. You've got to sell the show. So we're going to take a commercial break, and I keep saying old, and I don't mean that personally.
Yeah, you do, but go ahead. Okay, let's have some commercials.
But we need to take a commercial break, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to come back, and we'll probably talk a little bit more radio, but we'll be right back after these messages.
Discover great local programming right here on WTMB East Tennessee Television. Tune in weekday mornings at 6:30 a.m. for Tennessee Valley This Morning to find out what's going on in your local area. Watch East Tennessee Shopper with Joe and Kim Palo live every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Be caught up in all the latest sports action. Watch In the Spotlight with Brittany Jackson Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. with replays at midnight. All this and more on WTMB East Tennessee Television.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Ford, board certified in anti-aging medicine and pain management. Have you had a recent decrease in energy, lack of sex drive, feel moody, grumpy, or sad? If so, you may have low testosterone and be a candidate for bioidentical hormone replacement. Listen to what two of my patients have to say.
Before I came to the Ford Clinic, I had to have a nap every day.
When I got off work, I'd lay around, really didn't want to do much and felt real lazy.
I've noticed since I had the testosterone implant that I can go a good 8 hours doing the things I enjoy doing.
I had it done, it took about 25-30 minutes, 5 months, and I'm doing good. My stomach, my muscles, they've completely changed. My fat level has dropped. I get to go out and run, exercise with my son. My muscles are just getting stronger.
If you'd like to change your life, please call me at Ford Center for Pain Management and Anti-Aging Medicine at 423-400-9115.
It's a very simple process, and it's well worth it.
I'm Byron Winters with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. Contact me for all of your business insurance needs. From general liability to workers' comp, commercial auto, and business umbrellas, Landmark Insurance has you covered.
Hyperbaric Services of East Tennessee is now open in Cleveland. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is an incredible treatment, clinically tested for a variety of physical and neurologic conditions, including autism, migraine headaches, even sprains and injuries. It is a simple, safe, and painless process that raises a patient's oxygen level, providing an array of health benefits. So whether you're dealing with a weekend sports injury, chronic condition, or looking for anti-aging, you owe it to yourself to explore what Hyperbaric Services can do for you.
Hi, I'm Brittany Jackson. Join me every Wednesday night at 6:30 and midnight, where we will highlight local sports, chat with coaches, and discover new tips every week. Only on In the Spotlight with Brittany Jackson.
And welcome back to Tennessee Valley this morning on this Monday morning. Alan Mincy, your host. Debbie Melton was co-hosting, but we only have 3 seats, and so Debbie is over on the sidelines. You can yell and say hi.
Hello.
Okay, you hear?
You know, Alan, she has never mentioned United Way to anybody who's walked in here today. So how is she going to get the Big Chiefs Award?
She did to me. She said she liked my shirt.
Oh, that's all though, but she hadn't solicited any money.
And the reason Tom's saying that is Debbie is one of our co-chairs for our campaign this year, along with Richie Hughes.
Which our team's going to beat Richie's team.
And I don't know if that came across on the air.
Well, you're not going to beat the team 2 years ago.
But she said that Richie's team is in trouble. They have a friendly competition. And our chairman of the board is Cameron Fisher, who's got a little communications background in him too. So we are pleased to have them, and I'm sorry that she didn't hit you up for a contribution, but I'm sure she will later.
Do you think she'll beat the team 2 years ago? No.
And the team 2 years ago,
nobody has beat that team.
Were those the Rollins?
Yes.
I
was first runner-up.
They did a pretty good job. I understand your wife may have.
She got the Big Chief Award, and I got the Little Ovation.
You got the Little Chief.
Yeah. Let's talk about radio.
Let's talk about radio, although, you know, United Way, we're going to be talking about that for a long time.
You mean Debbie will be back on.
But talking about radio, Tom, I've heard your story. Corky, I don't know if I've heard your story, but how did you get involved in radio? Tom, you mentioned that the other day. What got you in radio?
The principal of my elementary school came
Well,
to
wait,
me.
I'm going to let you go first. I was going to let Tom go, but I want you to go.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Did I speak wrong?
No,
you just had a turn, but go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Miss Neville,
you asked me how I got started?
Yes.
I was 13 years old.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it? Well, there had to be a radio station around.
No, there's no radio station. I was 13 years old. I was very much involved with my school. That was DeKalb County High School in Smithville, Tennessee, which is in Middle Tennessee. The principal came to the facility and said he was looking for somebody who could take care of emceeing the beauty pageant, the beauty presentation. And so I was, as always, I was first. I raised my hand. And
was it because it was a beauty pageant?
I've been doing a lot of things like that all my life. I've raised my hand. Take me. You know, I'm ready to go. And that's the way I got started. I liked it. And then a guy came by about a year later. He was doing a sales presentation on broadcasting, that sort of thing. I raised my hand. He said, "You interested?" I said, "Yes." He asked me if any particular reason. I said, I just liked radio. It's interesting. It's exciting. The bottom line was it had a way of communicating with people. And there brings up the old-time radio. New radio and old-time radio. Tom and I, we had radio for one reason, didn't we?
That's right, just to
tell people,
to be part of the community and become a family member of the.
And nowadays they become jukeboxes, you know, and that sort of thing. And somewhere along the way we've lost it. And I'm getting off the subject very quickly.
Oh, that's
but anyway, I went on to college, did my thing, and I've been doing it ever since 1956.
And your first radio station, do you remember the call letters?
First radio station was no.
Okay, it's been a long time ago.
Oh yes, yes. It was an FM operation, AM and FM operation in Crestview, Florida.
Okay, okay.
And I stayed there a short period of time, say 9-10 years, something like that. And because of the age of my mom and that sort of thing, and I had to come back to this part of the country to take care of her. And I came down Central Avenue you're right here in Cleveland, Tennessee.
The old gray house.
In the old gray house. And I had a fellow said, you have any idea what you're doing here? I said, yeah, I'm looking for a radio station. And he pointed to Central Avenue down there. Said, they got a station and they need some announcers.
You raised your hand.
I raised my hand. I walked in and that's what it's been.
And that's
been what, 61 years ago? 51 years ago.
Wow.
51 years ago.
You know, off your subject, your question again, I'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But every radio station used to have a piano.
That's right.
And a BMI hymn book or so.
That's right.
And because you had live programs on Saturday and Sunday.
That's correct.
And usually you had one waiting outside in the lobby for the other one to get through to come in and do their program. But every station had to have a piano.
You know, I think
those anymore.
The station over in Benton still has the piano. I think they still do
probably
that.
do.
Yeah, and Sunday afternoons was turned into a live program. It
Right,
always
one after the other.
Yep.
And if that one didn't have money to pay, you had two more with the check or the cash to come in and pay on.
Now, Tom, how did you get involved
Well,
in radio?
I'd always liked radio, and I mentioned at the Media Association I had a broomstick or something and playing microphone when I was in elementary school, and I knocked it over and knocked my mother's Christmas tree down, but that wasn't real radio. I was in high school in Shreveport, and a friend of mine told me that he had a part-time job at KTBS, which is the NBC affiliate.
Sure.
And so I said, well, what are you doing? He says, nothing, I just make a station break during the network shows. Well, KTBS, the NBC station, was in the same building as KWKH, the CBS station. So I would go up and just watch him. I was enthralled to watch him just sit there and all of a sudden put headsets on, say this is KTBS Shreveport, and sometimes give a time. But a guy said, hey, we need somebody over at KWKH on the other side to do the same thing. And I never asked if they paid or how much they paid. And I don't remember whether they paid anything or not. But I would sit there and just ride the board. And the CBS, when the guy said this is the Columbia Broadcasting System, I'd say this is KWK Shreveport. It's 12 o'clock or whatever. And the only people you introduced, you had the live morning show and usually live drive time in the afternoon. Other than that, the guy that did the local news, you would introduce him as doing the news. Entirely different radio. It was all network, except, as I say, morning and afternoon.
Okay. I'm going to ask both of you if you can answer this, and I don't know because you may have too many stories, but is there one thing that you can remember in your years in radio that has made a lasting impression on you? Whether it be an interview with someone or a news story or anything like that.
Yes, I can tell you real quickly, and it won't take long to do this.
Okay.
I was still learning what radio was all about when I was in broadcasting school, and they gave me a bag, and this little bag was just a paper bag, and he created a situation. I forgot what it was, but he created a situation that you had to ad-lib your way out of it. And he had this situation. He said, pretend this story is in this bag. He said, nothing around you except that bag and you and your mind and your ability to ad-lib, whatever.
Okay.
And I'm talking about sweating, talking about getting excited. But that was my first experience in learning how to ad-lib.
Well, you learned it.
And I got it. I don't know how, but I got myself out of that bag. And that was my first experience in learning what ad-libbing is all about. And nowadays, you can usually tell a guy's involved with television or radio if he's an old radio man. He has that different sound. He has the ad-libbing ability. And ad-libbing is not just opening your mouth and talking. It's saying something while doing the same thing.
Sure.
Sticking to the subject. Or
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember when you remember Paul Kirksey, of course.
Yes.
He worked at WBAC as well as CLE.
I worked with Paul, yes.
And Paul and I decided we'd do a marathon for the March of Dimes. We set a goal of $1,000. Now, you know, Heartline sets his goals at $30,000 and $35,000. Right. And I've been involved in things of that nature, raised much more money than that. But that was the first time we did that. We were going to stay up all night. We had nightgowns on and nightgowns and nightcaps. In the window, downtown, remember Corky next to the Hoskins Land Company?
Oh, yes.
We sat in the window and we broadcast probably a little over 24 hours. And we finally reached our $1,000 goal. We thought that was tremendous. And then we went from there to start doing things in one of the school auditoriums where we had live music and did the March of Dimes. But I think the most memorable fundraiser was a lady in Polk County had to have a transplant. I don't remember if it was a kidney or whatever it was, but needed $15,000 cash for the hospital to even accept her. I believe it was Vanderbilt. So we decided we'd try to raise money for that. We raised that $15,000 in 3 hours in the morning.
Wow.
And I just thought, that is tremendous. And then I learned then of the giving spirit of this community, which of course ties in with the United Way and many other things that we did. But I was so impressed with that. And WBAC and WCLE throughout the years has done those things for people. And I think it's such a rewarding experience to have those things be successful.
It's another example of our old-time radio. We were involved with the community. The community was involved with us. We were communicating.
And news.
Yes.
When a news event was to be covered, the WCLE and WBAC microphones were there. We carried events live. Any news conference of announcements of any significance, we recorded them and sometimes live, but we recorded them, brought them back to the station. We called them actualities.
Well, both of you worked with a couple of classic news guys, Bob Galt,
right,
with WBAC, and then Don Johnson worked with WCLE. So
right. Worked with Bob 31 years.
Yeah.
And Don was very instrumental.
Oh, yes.
He and I went to Knoxville when Billy Graham's crusade was at Neyland Stadium. And when we were doing some of the history research on the dedication of Billy Graham Avenue, Don called me and remembered things that Billy Graham told him. For instance, we thought it was Appler's shoe store where he worked. Turned out it was Parks Belt. And Don had his notes where Billy Graham said, I worked at Parks Belt for Mr. Appler, who was manager of the shoe department. So that's how we got to think it was Mr. Appler. And mentioned he even got fired from selling shoes.
So, Billy Graham?
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes.
How about that?
I tell you, we're coming close to the end of the show. Is there a chance of you two getting back into radio and having your morning show again together?
Not me.
No, not us. Hey, one time, if you remember.
Don't make it long. Because
no, it won't be long.
Okay.
But on April Fool's Day, Bill Thomason,
yes,
Jack Hoskins said, why don't you and Corky swap places and don't say anything about it?
I was fixing to tell that story.
And Reba didn't like that. She was one of the great sales ladies in radio for WBC. She said, no, we don't need to do that. But we were going to swap seats. And
that would have been classic.
And not explain it to anybody.
Been. That's the one thing that we never did do.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about our old-time radio, whatever. I wished at one time we'd have followed up on that, but it's been a great experience.
Well, the one thing that I can say is not only are you guys, those of us that listen to radio remember you fondly, but you've always remained friends, so we appreciate that.
Friends then.
Friends then, friends now. We are coming up on the end of the show. I want to thank Corky and Tom for being on the show.
Had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, Michael Ringering, who was here earlier, and Debbie Melton, who had to go pick up the kids. Thanks for joining us on Tennessee Valley this morning. We will see you again on a couple of Mondays from now. I'll be back. And don't forget to watch Matt Tolbert on show tomorrow. Thanks, guys.